Welcome to the 26th annual In Tribute to the Public Service event. I'm sorry I couldn't be in attendance, but I'm happy to be able to be part of the program in honor of my friend Steve LaTourette. This is a prestigious award given to individuals who demonstrate leadership, which Steve has done in public service, and significantly contribute to the betterment of our community. Steve certainly fits all of those criteria. Consistently throughout his career, he put his constituents first, and that's what you have to do as a public servant. It's not about Democrats and Republicans. It's about doing what you believe is right. Best wishes to all of you for a great evening. Steve, you've been a good man, a good leader. You're willing to work across the aisle. You've been willing to be independent. I have a lot of regard for you. Congratulations on your award, and you've certainly earned it.
Good evening, everyone. We're delighted to see you here. I'm Dick Pogue. I'm the co-chairman of the steering committee of tonight's event, along with Bruce Akers, and you'll hear from him shortly. We're really delighted you're here. We got a lot of competition today, opening day, 50 Club, so we're particularly appreciative of your presence here. It's going to be a wonderful event, I think. So on behalf of the visiting committee of the Maxine Goodman Levin College of Urban Affairs, I'd like to start the program off here. As you know, this is a scholarship event, the In Tribute to the Public Service, and I'd like to remind you that this is the, I think, 26th year that this event has been going forward. It started in 1985, and it's been a wonderful addition to the Cleveland scene. I would like especially to thank our underwriters for this evening: Eaton Corporation, McDonald Hopkins, Huntington, RPM, Lubrizol, Forest City, and KeyBank. And they've all stepped up to support this. Many of you have as well. And so far, we're well over $80,000 and still climbing. So it's a successful event. A number of the members of the visiting committee, as well as I believe several trustees of the university and of the CSU Foundation, are here, and I'd like to ask them to stand just for a minute so we can recognize them. Thank you. We certainly thank them for all their good work in helping to put this affair together. The In Tribute to the Public Service event enables the College of Urban Affairs to bestow an award each year on an individual, or in a couple of cases, individuals whose lifelong efforts and commitment have really made our community a better place in which to live and work. I see actually several of the prior honorees in the audience, and I'd like to ask them to stand briefly. Thank you, and thanks for joining us again this year. Tonight, of course, we're extending congratulations to Congressman Stephen C. LaTourette for this well-deserved recognition of his extraordinary contributions to the public service during his 9 terms as a U.S. Congressman, representing Northeast Ohio here. And when we think of the phrase, "in tribute to the public service," it seems to me that phrase is uniquely suited to Steve LaTourette. He accomplished many, many things over the course of his 18 years in the Congress, but I'd like to just, and you'll hear a lot about that this evening, but I'd like to just remind us of one particular aspect of his service, and that is his interest in bipartisanship and working across the aisle in a practical way to try to accomplish specific objectives. When Steve announced his retirement last year, the Plain Dealer recognized this bipartisanship effort of his, and it said that his retirement sort of brought together everyone from both sides. The Plain Dealer said in their editorial that in this case, both sides agreed that LaTourette is a great guy. So this was really a recognition of what Steve has meant down there in Washington. At that time, Speaker of the House John Boehner paid very, very high praise to Steve for what he'd done over the years. And on the other side of the aisle, Congresswoman Marcia Fudge said, and I'm going to quote here, She said, "We need more members of Congress like Steve. Words cannot begin to describe the void Steve's departure will create." And also, his integrity has been of the highest order. When he retired, he said in typical humorous fashion in leaving the House, "I am retiring undefeated and unindicted," which is an accomplishment these days. And of course, we all remember the many things that Steve has done for Northeast Ohio. He's really brought home the bacon. So, going on with the program, I would like to remind you all that the proceeds from this event fund the Mercedes Cotner Endowed Scholarship. The late Mercedes Cotner, she was the longtime clerk, as you know, of City Cleveland Council. She was the very first recipient of this award back in 1985. And I'm sure that she would be thrilled today to know that over the past 3 decades or so, more than $1 million has been raised through this event in her honor. The scholarships in her name are awarded to students who are pursuing careers in public service at the CSU College of Urban Affairs. And we have in the room today several of our students. I hope that after the program is over and we mingle, you'll have an opportunity to hear some of their stories and ask them about their plans for the future. And I understand that there are several members of the Cotner family who are with us today, so we're very pleased that they could join us as well. So now, without further ado, we'll watch a video presentation honoring Mercedes Cotner.
She was a pioneer in politics, a woman who commanded attention.
People knew that when Mercedes Cotner spoke, there was something important to listen to.
A pillar of the community and public servant with a heart of gold.
She was very well sought out for advice. A lot of people came to her for help.
Mercedes Cotner.
I can remember at a very, very young age being over my grandmother's house and participating in public service with her. She was very, I think, instrumental in her day in the Democratic Party, especially her old Ward 2 of Cleveland, Ohio there. And I can remember passing literature out for President Kennedy in 1960.
The first woman appointed city clerk and clerk of Cleveland City Council.
She was really the rock. She was the foundation on which the council was built.
Councilman Barnes informs by departmental request to amend the grant application for funding pursuant to Title I of the Housing and Community Development Act of 1974.
The Wizard of Oz, if you will, this person behind the legislative table, behind the council people, behind the president of council, there was Mercedes Cotner.
And the very first to receive the In Tribute to Public Service Award from Cleveland State University's Maxine Goodman Levin College of Urban Affairs.
The people of CSU contacted her to let her know she was the first recipient, and I think she was just overwhelmed how proud she was being the only big university in downtown Cleveland, being she's from Cleveland and everything, that her name would be associated with the scholarship, and being her public service that she demonstrated over the years. I think she felt like that was something that took note of her career.
The In Tribute Award, an acknowledgement that the College of Urban Affairs has designated, is a living tribute to Mercedes Cotner, and a very fitting tribute to her role and to her stature, but also to the role of government as a sounding board, as a place in which policy and resources are shaped and allocated.
Every year when they would swear in council here in these wonderful chambers here, she'd invite the family down. Family was everything to her, and church.
She brought dignity and honor to the title public servant. We know that in today's times there's blemishes to that, and there's a lot of forces that try to tear down the honor of public service. she built it up. And she really stands as a bright beacon of leadership that young people could look at.
The Mercedes Kottner Scholarship has been awarded to students since 1988.
Without the scholarship, I would not be able to be here. They've given me an opportunity that is once in a lifetime.
She would have been pretty well thoroughly overwhelmed that it was still going on here at Cleveland State in her name.
A leader, a lady, a legacy.
What you could learn from my grandmother through this scholarship is just the example she set in public service. She was a leader. Her opinions counted and people listened to her.
She came across as this iron-fisted lady, but with a heart of gold.
Good evening. I'm Bruce Akers, co-chair of the In Tribute Committee, along with Dick Pogue, and it is a pleasure to welcome you and to tell you how much we appreciate your presence here tonight to provide the scholarships that you've just seen in the movie and the impact they're having. Any program like this, as you all know, takes a lot of organization, a lot of work, and there's always one person behind the scenes who never gets recognized, never is appreciated for all that that person does. And so all of us on the In Tribute Committee want to publicly thank Lisa Pastor, who is the Senior Development Associate for Lehman College, and to tell you that we are grateful for all that she's done. So Lisa, thank you very much. When I called Congressman LaTourette to inform him that the In Tribute Committee had voted unanimously to honor him with the 2013 In Tribute to the Public Service Award, he was genuinely surprised and then deeply appreciative. In his customary modesty, he commented that there were many others far more deserving of this honor. We disagree. This evening, through this award, we salute and pay tribute to a very distinguished public servant, a gentleman who has so ably represented us in the United States House of Representatives for 18 years. Of his many attributes, one stands out so prominently, given the political climate that has emerged throughout our country over the past few years. For we have in this real public servant a leader who has reached out to work with all parties, with all points of view, to achieve consensus, to accomplish sensible and sound compromise, and in so doing, to prove our system can work when sincere men and women of goodwill and dedication to what is right for all come together and commit to sound solutions and positive movement forward. Congressman LaTourette has shown immense courage to speak out for and to ultimately to vote for what he knew was right, even in so doing not necessarily abiding to some party line. His retirement from Congress is a serious loss, not only for this region, but indeed for the country as a whole. Because today, we see so much polarization on the part of both the far right and the far left. And when we see, tragically, that the word compromise has become a dirty word for so many, we need more leaders like Steve LaTourette in the halls of Congress, in the offices of our federal departments, and in our states. Steve was a voice of reason, a voice of common sense, a voice of let's come together and get things done for the good of the country. And thanks to Steve and his sincere, apolitical approach, he accomplished a lot of things for this region and for this country. That is why the In Tribute Committee felt so strongly and unanimously that Congressman LaTourette was so deserving of this year's In Tribute to the Public Service Award. Congressman, our congratulations and our sincere thanks for all your public service. It is now my honor to introduce to you the President of Cleveland State University, Donald Ronald Berkman. Dr. Berkman.
Thank you very much. I'd like to first thank Mayor Akers and Dick Pogue for chairing this event. I'm personally convinced at this juncture that there must be more than one Dick Pogue, since it's hard to imagine one individual organizing so much, being present at so many occasions, and being a force for so many civic causes in this region. Thank you, Mr. Pogue. Thank you, Mayor Akers. And I'd like to recognize the Dean of the Levin School, who has helped energize and re-energize this event, but more than anything else has put the Levin School really in the center of public discourse, both in Cleveland and in the state of Ohio. And if you could ask nothing else of a school of urban and public affairs or a school of urban affairs, but to have the respect of policymakers, to have the attention of policymakers, to have a data shop that tries to tell the story that the data tells, the Levin College has fulfilled all of these expectations. So thank you, Ned, thank the faculty, and thank the students who are here at the Levin College. A lot of people are going to talk about Steve LaTourette's accomplishments and his legislative career, his courage. I personally thought he exhibited great courage in appearing on Real Time with Bill Maher. Unscripted by you. But I want to mention something else, because one thing that Congressman LaTourette has done is early on understand the importance and the significance of higher education, as of course has Governor Senator Voinovich. But as I've gone around this city, Congressman, I've met so many individuals who are graduates of the Cleveland Marshall Law School, who say to me, if not for the Cleveland Marshall Law School, I would not have had this opportunity. And it's something, Congressman, that I think it's extraordinarily important for us to keep alive. The part-time program, the evening program, the program that provides access to working professionals who want to get a legal education and get a legal education at an affordable price. This is the role of an urban institution, and this is the role of an urban law school. And Congressman LaTourette is one of those individuals to which Cleveland Marshall helped take him to where he is. And the mark of great public servants and the mark of great public spirit is to remember from whence you came, and to do what you can. And this is something that's extraordinarily important to me in an age in which public education is challenged, to do everything you can to provide the same opportunities that you were afforded for those who will come after you. And I believe that's what motivated the congressman's passion about Cleveland State University, and the aid and assistance and guidance and support he gave to this university from the day he went to Congress. I think it was about public purpose. I think it was about public spirit. I think it was about an understanding that this institution was a runway for young people and a way of equipping them and keeping them in this region and in this city and in service. So I want to thank the congressman. on behalf of Cleveland State University, but for all the students who are not only impacted by this event, but for all the students who have been impacted by all that you've supported for Cleveland State University throughout your career. I'm really honored to have this participate in this occasion to honor you. Thank you very much, Congressman.
I was a photography student back in high school, and I took pictures of East Cleveland architecture. And for 4 years, I just watched more buildings getting boarded up and just more urban blight. And I knew that I could make a whole career out of trying to reverse that. And I knew that's the reason why I cared so much about Cleveland, is that I want to reverse that.
I decided to attend Cleveland State University, looking at its high rankings, #2 amongst urban studies, and I just wanted to expand my knowledge in the field of urban studies from my high school to Cleveland State.
My education here has been great, not only because of the just great academic training, but the outside training as well. And that's something that the Levin College and the scholarship program really offers that is different from any other university, I think. We are completely connected to the community. Leaders, forum programs, professors, and professionals in the community all come to Levin College to sort of help out the students, and I think that's great.
It's the place that all the leaders in the community come to get a master's degree, so there's just a great opportunity for networking within classes. Things like the forum program really draw the community together, bring together people that might not otherwise communicate, and expose the community to a ton of urban issues that are affecting our community. The research that goes on here is invaluable to Cleveland. It's just, for me, it's just sort of like the heart of Cleveland. It's what's keeping the community together, and it's what's going to get us forward into the next phase of Cleveland.
Levin College at CSU is very much into creating the human capital. Education is one of the things that can really help this region, and a lot of students who come to Cleveland State are very much involved in the community and want to see Cleveland prosper. So if we can develop these students into our future leaders, then we can advance Cleveland into the next generation.
It's a college that really believes in the region it's in. It's Cleveland focused, and it goes out of its way to make sure that the Cleveland residents are the biggest benefactors of this incredible research. It puts the people around it first, which is unique, and I think every successful region needs that. And this region is CSU's, and the more we invest in it, the more we as a region will see gains.
Even though Cleveland State is like one of the most affordable, the cost of college can really be such a burden that we need people to invest directly into local leaders by scholarships and by paid internships and by ways so that they can get a leg up. There's plenty of people out there that could be doing what I do or what a lot of my classmates do.
We've got a tremendous amount of leadership in the students here, and if you don't believe it, I encourage everyone to go and meet some of the students that come out of this college. They're phenomenal, and they are leaders, and you will see them in Cleveland.
I can't say enough about how this college is going to impact my future, and through me is going to impact the future of Northeast Ohio.
I love it because it's an entire college devoted to this city and helping it. I love this college because it loves Northeast Ohio.
Good evening. I'm Ned Hill. I'm privileged to be the Dean of the Maxine Goodman Levin College of Urban Affairs. And, you know, when you listen and pay attention to what our students are telling us, they're telling us that they are committed to public service. Whether they end up in the private sector, whether they end up working for environmental protection, whether they're doing economic development, whether they're doing real estate development, there's two things that tie our students together. One is a commitment to the future, and the second is a commitment to this region. So when I thank you, it's just not me thanking you. I'm the little guy. I get to stand up. No, actually, I'm a big guy. I get to stand up to say thank you on behalf of 760 majors, 23,000 credit hours of teaching every year, a school that is dedicated to urban policy change, but also a school that reflects your investment. We are the highest ranked college in the state of Ohio. We are ranked number 2 in city management and urban public policy. And the only reason why we have reached that level of excellence is because of the people in this room. It's because of the issues that are Northeast Ohio's issues, because we're committed to engage scholarship, and because we are committed as a faculty and as a staff to the future of this region. And in many ways, what's happening tonight, recognizing Congressman Stephen LaTourette, not only for his 18 years of service in the Congress, but his work as a prosecutor, showing how a kid from Cleveland Heights can come to Lake County and stay with us at all times. That's all important. But it's also a large part, Steve's career is a large part of what we hope our students are able to do, be able to talk across different ideologies, different causes, and realize that together the future for this region and this city is as bright as it's ever been. If we were to pop open the shade, you'd see downtown Cleveland, and you realize that's an overnight sensation 30 years in the making. And it's everybody in this room that made that possible. And I also want to thank the families that are Cleveland and the families that made Cleveland State University great and the families that made the Maxine Goodman Levin College of Urban Affairs as good as it is. I want to thank Mercedes Kottner's family for everything that she did as a representation of grace that helped take this city, along with Mayor Voinovich at that time, through an incredibly difficult time. She was part of the group that set the example, and it is the investment that she and her family made in our future is giving dividends today. So thank you very much to the Kottner family. I want to recognize Mort and Judy Levin, who were there with the purpose that Maxine Goodman Levin had in setting up the college. I want to thank the Miller family because this event represents Ruth Ratner Miller's long-standing commitment to this community. It is the dedication of people who are invested in this community that make the future possible. The future are our kids and all of our kids. Thank you. And oh, by the way, if you want to stay young forever, come back as an adult, take a class. If you give you a grade, you're always a kid, so that's great. So President Berkman, thank you for your support. Dick, Bruce, thank you for all your hard work. Lisa, you're a rock star in our eyes. This is great. And Steve, thank you so much for everything you've done for the region. I have to admit that Joe Roman at one point in the middle of exasperation just said, LaTourette's the go-to guy for the region. What are we going to go to next? So we just have to make a whole new bunch of go-to people to keep the mission of keeping our region going forward together. So thank you so much. And Congressman Joyce, thank you so much for joining us. We're looking at you for continuing that legacy of the LaTourette service. Thank you.
When you think about the assets in Northern Ohio, and Steve's right at the top of the list.
He's probably one of the best Congress people we've ever had from the state of Ohio.
You know, the guy had a long name, but the way you spell his name is simple, H-E-L-P.
He would help the Democrats with just as much passion as he would the Republicans and the independents as well. And I think that's what really impressed me after that first election in '94. Once the campaign was over with, he went to work for all the people.
I'm going to have to steal from Leader Dick Armey, and he said Washington needs workhorses, not show horses. and Steve LaTourette was a workhorse in D.C.
This is a guy who's got an intellect that's incredible. He understands the legislature. He's got incredible relationships. He's totally bipartisan, and he solves problems for people.
What he did for us in the ballast water issues that we've had in the Great Lakes is something monumental. He co-chaired with a Democrat, and we got it knocked out in the state of New York. If it wasn't for Steve, we'd still be fighting this war.
Steve LaTourette is going to be second to none in that list of folks who have made a major positive impact from infrastructure, just the way people work together in Lake County for the betterment of everybody.
With Steve LaTourette, what you got was a guy who wanted to do the job, and more importantly, realized that that job was bigger than him. It was for the bigger and better goals for the community that Steve drove his career.
He was a great mentor. He was very good with his staff in the sense that, there was no one on staff that had a lesser role than anyone else.
When you work in Washington or for members of Congress, that the staff sort of mirror who their boss is. For Steve, always tried to be what his leadership was and tried to live up to his standard. And that was to really work hard, to do the right things, and to do things for other people. And I think that's what Steve's all about.
As a person who is able to work with everyone across the aisle, mayors that are Democrats, Republicans, all walks of life, and that is really something that a lot of people were looking for and seeking, and he brought that to us.
I don't know of anybody that has a bad word to say about him, and in the business he's been in, I think that's a difficult accomplishment.
What you see is what you get with Steve. It's, I don't think there's any hidden secrets. He's got the wit, the charm, the finesse, and that's, I think, in all aspects of his life.
Steve was always interested in only one thing. Not what is good for the Republican Party and not what is good for the Democratic Party. What is good for this country. And that's why he's going to be so terribly missed, because he knew and he felt in everybody's life that Steve ever touched was better.